When a political party loses the trust of the American people, they're dead, or they should be at least. What then are we to think of President Obama's and the Democrats' stimulus plan, the $787 billion stimulus plan from earlier last year? You remember this was a $1 trillion baby before Pelosi got some pushback from the GOP, who had gotten religion at that point. The total cost of this one piece of legislation is almost as much as the annual discretionary budget for the entire federal government for 1 year. What's criminal, though, however, and the point of this video, is that only about 35% of the so-called stimulus or spending has taken place thus far. When, though? When have we ever seen the Democrats have trouble spending our money? You know, they got to be dragged kicking and screaming to cut taxes, that much we know. But spending, it's as easy as falling off a boat for them. We're going to get back to this in a minute, more on this in a minute, but first, let's look at and examine the comical manner in which Team Obama calculates jobs that have allegedly been created as a result of this stimulus plan. Now, of course, we all laugh when we hear this talk of jobs created or saved. But the administration does claim that the jobs that they've created or have been created as a result of the stimulus plan total 640,329. And that's as of Friday, January 1st, 2010. Now that's not 640,328 or 640,330, 329. Now, when you consider that we have 6 million more people unemployed now at the start of this year, 2010, as compared to 1 year ago, you can see the hilarity of this and how comical it is. But you can also see the contempt that they have for the American people and the degree to which they take us for fools. Even though this legislation, the bill that was signed into law, contains at least 152 spending proposals, the authors of the plan, the people that put it together, can only say that 34 of them have any chance of keeping or growing jobs over the long term. And just $1 in $7, just one out of every $7 of an $18.5 billion expenditure on energy efficiency and renewable energy programs would be spent within the next 18 months. Now, although the Democrats' plan has been billed as a transportation and infrastructure investment package, in actuality, only $30 billion of the bill, or 3% of the total spending, is for road and highway spending. A recent study by the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan CBO, found that only 25% of the infrastructure dollars can be spent in the first year. So that makes the 1 year total dollars in year one of the entire plan $7 billion spent on highway and transportation, these shovel-ready jobs. Now let's take a quick walk back and remind ourselves of some of the new and creative ways that Pelosi and her gang cooked up to spend our tax money. $600 million was needed, part of this stimulus plan, for new cars for the federal government. $650 million for digital TV coupons. What the hell is a digital TV coupon? $200 million for the National Mall, and a tenth of that, $20 million, evidently for the sod. The Department of Agriculture needed $44 million to evidently spruce up their headquarters. And $6 billion went to colleges and universities, many of whom have multi-billion-dollar endowments. Not to be forgotten, though, was our friends at the National Endowment of the Arts, who got $50 million of our taxpayer money. Now, the point here is that 32 new government programs were established at a cost of about $136 billion so far. Look, these programs never die the death that they so richly deserve once they outlive their usefulness. No, they're destined to go on forever, staffed by bureaucrats. And now to the major point, and that is that it's evident that the Democrats have topped even themselves with the politics of this stimulus plan, and it stinks to high heaven. It's obvious to everyone that there's precious few shovel-ready jobs, and that more than anything else, this is a fulfillment of a 40-year wish list of funding for left-wing ideas and liberal pet projects. But with respect to the few aspects of this that were worthy, the foot dragging to implement this stimulus plan and spend the money on job-generating endeavors to this point can be attributed to one thing and one thing only, and that is that they're not up for re-election for 10 more months. Yep, they've rigged this thing so that the ramped up spending on economic activity can take place later this year. It's a deeply cynical and calculated ploy to bring about the best possible economy as close to November 2010 as possible, as close to the midterm elections as possible. It's all been arranged to enhance the Democrats' election year standing. And this is the critical point. It's been done at the expense of the unemployed and the underemployed Americans. Only a fool would fall for their crocodile tears and their bemoaning of the people who can't make their house payments or put food on the table. The boxers of the world, Harry Reid, Pelosi, Barney Frank, they could care less. 2009 was a washout year jobs-wise, and most recently, if not for the fact that 600,000 people simply gave up looking, the unemployment rate would have spiked even higher. That fewer Americans are working today than would otherwise be the case if the stimulus plan was front-loaded with the spending in 2009 is merely the sacrifice that the electorate and Americans need to make to keep their democratic heroes in power and in the majority. This is the way these sickos look at it. They orchestrated this thing to benefit themselves, and they can't see past the next election. Never before have we seen such a deeply cynical and selfish move. Now, am I naive enough so as to think a video like this is going to make any difference at all? No, not really. But to those that see the world the way I do, you have to admit, waiting for the John Boehners or Mitch McConnells of the world to formulate and articulate a message like this, well, you'd be waiting a long time indeed. So we do this because at a minimum it's sure to piss off a few Obama fans and other leftists, and that's worth it just on that basis. So thanks for tuning in, and check back in a week or two because we're going to have some fun with Al Gore and global warming. Thank you.